Hello everybody, this is Bev here, Clarkovision, and this is a story time. This is a response to Darcy, 6 String 9 Lives, and he put out a video titled Rockstars and, kind of asked for a kind of thread response style and for people who would like to share their stories about rock stars. One, he had sort of 3 sections to it. One was tell us about someone you have met. The second one was somebody who's still here and you would like to still meet if possible. And the third one is someone who's passed on and you wish you could have met but didn't. So here goes with mine. So basically, someone I've met. Well, I haven't met any famous rock stars. The closest I ever got to some famous rock star was I happened to be in the same restaurant as Eric Clapton once upon a time. I think it must have been about 15 years ago or something. Eric Clapton happened to be in the same. Well, it was a cafe. It was on a lovely small Italian cafe on King's Road in Chelsea, London. I was down in London meeting a couple of friends who were over from America, and I wasn't feeling very well. I remember I had a bad cold, and we were in this cafe, and I was having minestrone soup because I had a sore throat, and it was about all I could handle swallowing. So I was having it, and I didn't know Eric Clapton was in this place because he was sitting away down the back somewhere, and I only noticed him when he just came up to the till and paid for his meal or drink or whatever it was he had. I don't know how long he'd been there. It was just when he came to the till, I just looked across and I thought I recognised that, and I thought, I said, nudged my dad, and I says, "That's Eric Clapton." Just like that, and he was very casual. He was just wearing some sort of casual gear, and I think he had a jacket and something on his head, some kind of cap or hat. I can't really recall, but and that was it. He just paid and went off, and I wasn't really thinking about going up and asking for his autograph or anything like that. I was feeling very miserable at the time, but that's the closest I ever got to a big famous person. Secondly, tell someone you'd like to still meet who's around. And Darcy says if you haven't met anybody you could list 2, but well, I'm going to list 2 anyway because I've actually got 4 because I couldn't decide who, 2 from one band and 2 from another band. Any one of these 4, I guess. Any 2 of these 4, I suppose. One is Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. He's an unbelievably interesting guy. Not only is he the frontman and lead singer of the biggest metal band on the planet, or one of the biggest metal bands on the planet, he's also an airline pilot. He's an international fencing champion. He's loads of things. And the other one for that band would be Adrian Smith, my favourite guitar player. I wouldn't mind having a blather with him. And the other guys I probably would love to speak to or meet would be Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin, and Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, because I think Robert Plant is a really talented, interesting guy as well. I've seen a couple of video interviews with him before, and he just comes across as a really intelligent, kind of nice person. He's quite normal coming over in his interviews. He presents himself well. He has interesting things to say. And Jimmy Page, like Adrian Smith, it would be the guitar related thing. Plus with Jimmy Page being my heroes Guitar Hero as well. It would just be cool to meet him. And the third one, which is, I know there's probably a few of you already know what the answer to this is going to be, but that's a no-brainer for me anyway. Someone who I wish I could have met would have been, without a doubt, Steve Clark of Def Leppard, one of the original guitar players from the band. He joined them in 1978 as the second guitarist, making it a two-guitar band. Him and Pete Willis originally, and yeah, he just, obviously, he became my ultimate guitar hero. I never got the chance to see him live. I kind of just missed him. He did come to my hometown 3 times on the Hysteria tour, and I think I was just fractionally too young, or just discovering them at the time, and wasn't fully aware that they were coming to Edinburgh. So yeah, if I had a time machine, I would be going back in time to see him on tour for sure. And I would be doing everything in my power to be able to meet him. There's several reasons why I love Steve. One, it just so happens he's good looking. He's a lovely guy. 2, he has this natural coolness about him. He is the epitome of a cool rock star. Some rock stars kind of try to be cool. He never had to try that. It just flowed from him, this coolness. It was just a natural thing, and there was this aura about him. 3, he was not your standard rock star. He was a classically trained musician. He was intelligent. He could discuss music. He could explain how parts of a song were written, and in musical terms, you know, whereas not all rock stars can do that. That's not to have a dig or anything. It's just that I find that it's more rare than not, if you think, in the modern rock world, where guitar players are actually proper, if you like, musicians that understand music. And the fact that Steve did know music, he could read and write music, he could, you know, understand all the theory and the kind of rules, etc. with it. That was impressive to me, and that just added an extra dimension to his creativity. Yeah, and he was kind of a normal guy. He wasn't some idiot with an attitude you do get in the music industry. He was just very down to earth, very normal, very humble. He was never one to want to take the limelight away. You know, he would always compliment other members of the band for their roles and whatever. And he was just really an all-round nice guy. I've never known anybody who has spoken to me through various channels to say anything other than good things about him. You know, how wonderful he was, how generous he was. He gave a guitar to Frank Hannon of Tesla when they supported the band on tour, and on the Hysteria tour. In 1987, Steve took Frank Hannon off to the Gibson factory when they were in Nashville, and Frank Hannon got a bunch of stuff from Gibson because Steve got a bunch of stuff from Gibson. And Frank Hannon told a story once in an interview, I think, that Steve Clark knew that one of Frank's favourite guitars was the Gibson SG in the sort of cherry red finish. And then one day Steve just handed him a cherry red Gibson SG for no other reason than just to give it to him as a gift, because he knew he liked them. yeah, in fact, he says, nobody's ever just given me a guitar before, but that was the nature of Steve. He wasn't kind of proud to or bragged about his success or having loads of money. I think he kind of, as I've read in interviews, felt a bit embarrassed about all that sort of thing, but he's just such a humble, gentle guy. But so that's, I could go on and on and on here. But for those, if you're not sure exactly who Steve Clark is, which member of Def Leppard he is, this is Steve. He was the principal songwriter and co-lead guitarist, just one of the guitar players. There wasn't really a lead player and a rhythm player, it was all shared. So this is him on Kerrang magazine from November the 14th, 1987. Again, here we have Steve here, this is him. And this is an earlier picture of the band with Pete Willis, that's Pete Willis there. And this is Steve Clark here, second from the right, is that? And finally, this is a picture of him from the studio. It's a bit glary in this sleeve here, so there's a photograph of Steve taken in one of the studios. It might have been Whistleord Studios in Holland during the Hysteria sessions with these Gibson Les Paul custom. So that's Steve, the most important member that Def Leppard have had and will ever have. Yeah, I don't want to make this video too long, but I could say I wished I'd met Steve but didn't, but I did manage to be very fortunate enough to meet his mum and his brother Chris once. Back in 2006, I went down to Sheffield, where Steve was from. His family still lived there. Visited Steve's grave. I visited that a few times. It's a lovely location. And then I got to meet his mum and his brother. Mrs. Clark, very kindly invited me and my mum. I had to take my mum with me because I was so nervous I could barely function. So I kind of needed somebody there just to kind of, I don't know, hold me up. And she invited us in, and then Chris arrived pretty much at the same time as us and brought in 3 of Steve's guitars. There was the 3 out of the 3 guitars. This was one of them, the cherry red double neck 18 string Gibson. One of the guitars was that one. There was his Gibson Les Paul XR1 from the Pyromania tour. That was there, and the white Gibson Les Paul custom triple pickup from the Hysteria tour, which you see him play in the videos for Pour Some Sugar on Me and Women. And on the live in the Round in Your Face, it's the guitar he's using on the last song, Photograph. That's that one. And yeah, I had a chat with them, Mrs. Clark and Chris Clark, Steve's younger brother, youngest brother. He had 2 brothers and they're both younger than him. And there is a little bit of a resemblance in Chris. You can sort of see a little bit of some of Steve's features. And that was one of the best days of my life, just meeting Steve's mum. Such a lovely lady, wonderful person. And I thanked her so much, and I got a hug from her, and I told her that, I never got to meet Steve, and the next best thing was meeting her, his mum. So, and it's some memories I'll cherish forever. So that's really my response, I guess, to the Rockstars thread. Don't forget to subscribe to Darcy's channel, 6 String 9 Lives. There will be a link below. He's got a really cool channel as well. He's a big Judas Priest fan. And I shall see you all in another video. Bye just now.